What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So it's about that time. It's rumor time for Harley Davidson because the new models will be launching in January. We're in early November, so this is the time where the speculation starts, all the rumors start. I'm here to talk about that. Before we jump into that, I have to throw out a disclaimer. Yes, I'm inside of a Harley dealership, Timms Harley Davidson in Anderson, South Carolina. That doesn't mean that I have any information that you guys don't have. Unfortunately, Harley Davidson corporate gives us nothing. So that said, none of this information is coming from Harley, coming from the dealership. This is all just stuff that I've heard, read online. Some of the stuff I've been able to confirm. Some of it I haven't, but I have to throw that disclaimer out there. Now, before we get into the rumors, let's talk about things that we know for sure. The Evo Sporty is done. I've covered that extensively in another video if you care to check that out, but that's one thing that we know for sure. Next thing, Harley corporate headquarters is not closing down. So during times past that we can't say on YouTube for some weird reason because you get demonetized, Harley Davidson was allowing a number of their employees to work from home. They have decided to continue that trend and repurpose part of their giant facility for other things. What things, I do not know, but that's the situation there. They are not closing the headquarters down. And lastly, dealerships closing down. So this is something that gets kind of tricky. Yes, there are some dealerships closing down, some for normal reasons, and some kind of being taken over. This part, I don't know for sure kind of what's going on. I've heard two different things. I've heard that Harley corporate is kind of coming in and taking their dealership, and I've also heard that big automotive groups are buying these dealerships up, which I know to be true because I used to work at one of those. Same thing happens. They own a bunch of car dealerships and a lot of other things, so they buy Harley dealerships. I think the concern there in our community is that they will eventually phase the people out that have worked in the dealership, bring their own people in that may not be as knowledgeable about the bikes, parts, etc. So the customer service experience may go down. I can't confirm that that would happen, but I mean, obviously, you take people that have done it forever and replace them with people that are new to it, the experience will definitely change. So let's get into the fun stuff. What are the rumors going around so far? These are just the ones I've heard. If you've heard anything different that I don't cover in this video, please feel free to shoot me an email or leave something down in the comments and let's connect and we'll chat about it and maybe I'll make another video. So we'll start with the one that's most exciting to me, and that is the possibility of a 975cc Pan America. Now that makes a ton of sense and we think it could be true based on the fact that Harley kind of leaked something on their website, and whoever catches all this, shout out to you because attention to detail is on point. So what's going on is Harley made a locking gas cap for the Pan America, and they listed it for the model RA1250 and RA1250S, so the Pan America and the Pan America Special. But they also listed it for the RA975 and the RA975S. Now one could only assume with the model designation RA has to be a Pan America. 975 makes sense. There are smaller adventure bikes out there. I do work for a power sports dealership that sells models other than Harley Davidson. Those smaller size adventure bikes sell very well, so this would be a really good move on Harley's part. And we know based on the Nightster 975 that we already have that engine platform there. Now I do think tuning would be much different than the Nightster 975, more geared towards off-road riding. Same thing as the Pan America, very different experience than your normal Harley Davidson. High revving engine, the way that it makes power, extremely different, but I do think that will happen, and I do think we'll see it for 2023. Now, will it launch in January with the new models? That is to be seen. I feel like that could also come a little bit later, late spring, early summer, but we'll see. Next up, the Harley Davidson Bronx. Now, if you're like me, you're probably tired of hearing about this bike that may or may not ever come. And here's why I think it could happen in 2023. So as we stated at the beginning of the video, Evo Sporties are done. So that leaves you with the Sportster S model and the Nightster model. Harley definitely needs more than two sporty models, and I get that the Bronx is not a sporty, however, it does appeal to that same crowd. Now, I first started catching wind of the Bronx around 2020, and then quickly after that, Harley Davidson literally scrubbed all of their websites, all of their media outlets of any mention of the Bronx. They did focus more on the Pan America, which was announced around the same time as the Bronx, that did actually come out. So I'm hopeful that we see a Bronx. I would be very excited to ride that machine and think that it could be a real possibility for 2023. Now I think we should bow our heads and have a moment of silence for this next one. That's because there is a model that I think is definitely going away. That model being the Softail Standard. Now this hits close to home for me. As a lot of you know, the Softail Standard is one of my personal bikes. I'm also doing a build for it on this channel, and that bike is seemingly going away. Now that makes a lot of sense on paper for Harley Davidson, because for $1,400 more, you get the Street Bob. And when you jump from the Softail Standard to the Street Bob, you're getting the 114 over the 107. You're also getting a setup for a passenger, meaning passenger pillion or back seat and passenger pegs. So for 1,400 bucks, that's kind of a no-brainer. I know I've only seen maybe one or two come through this dealership the whole year, and the year's almost over. So I think they're kind of phasing out those Softail Standards, and I think it will be gone for next year's lineup. I've also heard the Electroglide Standard may be leaving. That would make me extremely sad, but I don't really have any reason to see why they would do that, but it could happen. And then lastly, along that same note, I keep hearing that the 107 is done. Now, I also heard that last year. I was a little skeptical of it then. It makes a little more sense now. If we get rid of the Softail Standard, if they get rid of the Electroglide Standard, and a lot of people have started to tell me that they're getting rid of the Road King Standard, all of these models which use the 107. Now, if the 107 goes away, that doesn't mean they have to cancel these models. It just means that these models would get a 114, and then the rest of the lineup would start to get a bump. What CVOs and ST models would have, I'm not quite sure. Possibly the 122, which would be amazing, because as I have beaten to death, that is my absolute favorite engine platform from Harley Davidson. Yes, even over the 131. That's for another video. I am very skeptical that the Road King Standard goes away, and that's because based on what I've seen, based on what I hear, based on your guys' comments, not everybody's in love with that Road King Special, especially Harley's older demographic, their core customers, if you will. They like that more classic styling on the Road King Standard. So if that goes away, I think we will ruffle a few feathers. That's all that I've heard so far that makes sense to put into a video anyway. For this one, if you guys have heard anything, like I said, drop a comment, shoot me an email. I'd love to take a look at it. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.